It's Bitcoin season. Yes, Bitcoin has been on quite a tear. It's been very strong. Starting to consolidate now. That's all this is some consolidation, healthy consolidation. But it's Bitcoin season. Is alt season canceled? See if we're going to have an alt season or if we should cancel altcoin season this bull run. First, if I could take you please over to the long-term VLX chart. We're going to turn this into a log chart here. And you can see what I wanted to point out for you is that we are 387% up, 246 days into the bull market cycle. So May 11th was our halving event, coming out of that price action out of May 11th up until the peak that we had here a couple days ago, almost 42,000. That was a 387% run in 246 days. Now, if I could take you back to our prior cycle here. So we're back at the prior bull market cycle. And what I want to bring your attention to is I've got marked here shaded in light blue, the percentage of move from the halving to where we are today. So obviously we've had a stronger start to this bull market than we had last time. You see that price action hadn't moved as much percentage-wise last market cycle. But what I want to bring your attention to is while we haven't moved as much this last cycle, notice exactly when I've marked out 245. Let's go to 246 days here. Notice when Ethereum really started to ramp. And last market cycle, right on time, we had a sell-off event. And right as that sell-off event happened in Bitcoin, that's when Ethereum started to really make its run. So I've got Ethereum as that purple line right here. That's the Ethereum USD price. You can see Ethereum ramped really hard right at 246 days into the cycle. Now, will it happen to the day this time? I don't know. But you can see that this is the right time for alt season to really get started in this midpoint phase. Now, if we go back to our chart of a more long-term view, you can see that we had this initial pop that we've been wanting to play right through here. So starting at 246 days, Ethereum had a really strong run versus Bitcoin for a period of time. And then actually as Bitcoin made what we call its grand finale, all right, I've switched us over to the Ethereum BTC to illustrate this a little bit better. So starting right at 246 days last cycle, which is exactly where we're at right now, up through a few months after, Ethereum made a huge run versus Bitcoin. So in light blue here, this is the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. And it peaked out, I went ahead and drew that in. So Ethereum gained 850% on Bitcoin, starting at about 246, 247 days out to 338 days. Now some simple math for you. We take 338 days and we subtract it from 246 days. We get a run of 92 days, or about a 3-month run, where Ethereum significantly outgained Bitcoin for that 3-month period. So now will Ethereum do that same thing again? We don't know. Let's just follow the charts. Now, let's go to our charts current time and see what we can learn. First, I want to take a look at our Bitcoin dominance chart here. And you see I've been tracking a bit of what could be a head and shoulders pattern on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, I'm not a huge fan of head and shoulders patterns, as Jordan has pointed out several times, that you watch it when it comes into the neckline, and if it breaks the neckline, then you start really watching. But you can determine the pattern and then put your neckline on there. So I've got two necklines. This neckline could be at this key support resistance level. I'm going to draw it down here just to show the market structure a little bit. If we count this kind of double shoulder pattern, then this would be your neckline. Now, I favor this neckline that we have here and this yellow line at this angled neckline. We'll see if we get down there and really what happens once we get down to these levels. But on a more macro view here, you can see that we're coming into some key resistance. And we've been rejected at that resistance 3 times now. So we're going to see here shortly what happens with the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, for an explanation, the Bitcoin dominance chart is inverse to the strength of altcoins. So the stronger Bitcoin is on the Bitcoin dominance chart, this is the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies, what percentage of that Bitcoin is. So it peaked out here at almost 74% of the entire cryptocurrency market back on the 3rd of January was Bitcoin. And we've gotten a second rejection of that 70 level, that key 71% level that I've been following. I found some support here at this very key 69% level, and we'll see if we hold that. But again, on a big picture view, we've been wanting to play that move from that 70 down to about the 50 level. That's a pretty big move. That means altcoins are going to be very, very strong if Bitcoin dominance were to take a move down from 70 to 50. Now let's go over here and take a look at a few other charts. Let's look at just our Bitcoin chart. We can see that Bitcoin has obviously hit this 42,000 peak and then sold off. We've come into a couple of key support levels. We have these two trend lines here guiding us, these uber parabolic trend lines. So we had these parabolic trend lines before after we broke out and into the all-time high and then continuing on from there. And we've gone more parabolic. So this upper parabolic trend line, this long-term trend line, let me show you how that's a Fibonacci retrace level, and it's coming into this very upper trend line that we have here on our chart. So 32,686 is where I came up with for the next Fibonacci level. So you can see we hit resistance at it, broke through up to the next Fibonacci level, which was right around 42, and then sold off back down to this Fibonacci level of 33,000 or so. Now recall back on our BLX chart, take a look here at what happened that last time that we had that, I've got marked here in yellow, when Ethereum was really strong versus Bitcoin. What happened? What started that was a sell-off in Bitcoin and then a rotation from Bitcoin into altcoins, and then a continuance as Bitcoin continued its run, altcoins continue to run ahead of it. Now our key altcoin that we watch is Ethereum, and I believe Jordan from Conquer Trading just put out a video and he did discuss this, but I want to discuss the exact same thing. So we've had this on a more macro level. We've been tracking this downtrend as we've come into a pretty strong wedge here. All right, I want to pick a new color for you to show you this wedge that we have that's been obviously forming. Now we can see that we've broken out of this downtrend wedge, this long-term wedge. We also were in a bit of a downtrend versus ETH BTC after we broke out this last summer into September was the height of the Ethereum, the DeFi pop that we had over summertime. But we've broken out of both that downtrend, the downtrend channel, and the long-term downtrend, and we've come back to test that. So zooming in a bit here, we're looking to resume off of that. So we've broken out, we've come back to test those levels, and we're looking to hold and potentially resume out of here. Now, as a lot of you know, I watch Cardano a lot. I think Cardano is going to be the biggest recipient outside of Ethereum in this bull run. And you can see he's also been in a very long-term wedge pattern, just like Ethereum. And it's been pent up here, and ADA is also just trying to break out of this wedge that we've been in versus Bitcoin. So both of these are looking very bullish for breakouts, and these are the two main instruments we've been watching for alt season to begin. One last data point I want to bring up to your attention here on the ETH BTC chart. We look at the long term, the move we've been wanting to take. So this breakout of these resistance levels I have marked here, they're right around 31,000 Satoshis, or 0.0316, 0.033. When we break above these levels, the move that we're wanting to take advantage of is a potential breakout of this retest and resumption. So that puts us at an 0.337 all the way up potentially into I'm really looking to try to ride this. Now I'll be taking profit and re-entering as the moves dictate, but I would like to ride this move, this wave, all the way up into this box I have shaded here, which I believe we're going to comfortably get into in the first phase of this alt season, the FOMO phase, I call it. Now, just for completeness here, I've added back in my altcoin phases. So what I think will happen first is there will be a rotation, and I think we've already seen signs of that rotation. A couple of times now, Bitcoin has sold off and Ethereum has made moves. So this rotation phase is, I think, where we're still at. I still think that we're looking to rotate some profits from Bitcoin into altcoins. And then as Bitcoin makes its next leg up after it consolidates, then we're going to enter the full crypto FOMO phase, and altcoins will outrun ahead of Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin will have another sell-off, which will also cause the altcoins to sell off very significantly. And I call this the shakeout and the bear trap. So we're going to want to play alts versus BTC in this rotation and FOMO phase. And then we're going to want to be heavy back into BTC for this shakeout bear trap as BTC consolidates one final time before it's blow off top. And then The final phase is that BTC grand finale. Again, we'll want to be light on altcoins, heavy on Bitcoin while Bitcoin makes his final run. And then lastly, once BTC has made his new all-time high and topped and starts to decline, altcoins might go for yet another post-Bitcoin moon phase. So we'll be watching all of those phases, but right now we're still in what I believe is the early part of the rotation phase, and we're going to want to play this rotation and FOMO phases, and then we'll want to be out as the FOMO really kicks in after the next leg up in Bitcoin, back into Bitcoin so that we don't get eaten alive by this shakeout and bear trap, and then also remain heavy in Bitcoin through the remainder of the Bitcoin cycle for Bitcoin's grand finale, and then we'll look to play the alts one more time for just a few weeks after we make our final move out of Bitcoin. Now, also for clarity's sake, on this phase, once BTC makes its grand finale, I will be selling out of roughly 90% of all of my crypto assets. I might keep a few percent Bitcoin, and I'll keep a handful of my alts to see what happens with this BTC moon phase. Then I will be also using a small portion of my funds to trade alts after this, but I will be probably at least 80, if not 90% out once we all rotate and sell out of Bitcoin towards the top. I'll be looking to trade with a smaller amount of altcoins to see if I can't capitalize on that post-BTC moon phase. And of course, I will be posting videos and tracking every bit of the move and all the altcoins. So in summary, I believe that we're coming into heavy resistance on the Bitcoin dominance chart. I am looking for the altcoins to make a nice run here. We have several indicators telling us that this might be very, very close. First of all, this potential head and shoulders pattern, but nonetheless, we're coming in, even if this isn't a head and shoulders pattern, we're coming into some resistance, and we're looking to look some of these key levels if we keep fighting with this resistance on the Bitcoin dominance chart. ETH BTC and Cardano are both showing strong signs of breaking out of a long-term wedge pattern, which is set up nicely for some very large moves. And lastly, analyzing last cycle, at 246 to 247 days into the cycle, we are right on time if we were to track last cycle very closely for a big breakout in, first of all, Ethereum as our proxy, but potentially the altcoin space in general. And back on our Blockchain Center altcoin season index, you can see that we've been in an extended Bitcoin season here, and we're due for a breakout the other direction, and we see several indications of this potentially starting to happen on the charts.